One thing that I want to focus on for this week is talking about management. What is management in dog training specifically? And is it good? Is it bad? And what types should you avoid? To give you a definition of management, it's anything that can be used to prevent a dog from practicing or rehearsing a behavior. Management is used to avoid your dog going over a threshold or when your dog is already over a threshold and you aren't able to work with them in that specific moment. Sometimes you can use management for a little bit and then go right into training. And sometimes you'll have to use management for a whole entire situation. Now, in positive reinforcement dog training, the way we use management is for safety and to keep the dogs comfortable. By using management that keeps them calm and comfortable, we're increasing our chances of being able to communicate and work with them faster in more stressful situations. Now, in aversive dog training, they use fear-based management. One thing that really irks me is how a lot of aversive dog trainers that I've heard will put down the method of management that positive reinforcement dog trainers use, or the fact that we're using it at all, using management at all, when in reality, all aversive dog training is management, which is frustrating because dog training is not exactly about results, but it's about the welfare of the dog and the dog's safety and comfort level. Aversive dog training is a management heavy method. Now, the reason why aversive training utilizes management more than positive reinforcement is because aversive training works to discourage dogs from doing certain behaviors, which is management. However, the discouragement part is fear-based, discomfort-based, intimidation-based. In positive reinforcement, we use management sparingly and only when needed in certain circumstances. And we only use safe forms of management, like using a leash or a harness. Those are forms of management, so that your dog doesn't run away. But primarily in positive reinforcement training, we work to redirect the dog's behavior by giving them another behavior, which isn't management. That is training. Training is learning a new skill. So that is why positive reinforcement trainers are using training in their training, and aversive trainers and balance trainers are using management heavy methods, and they're not the safest methods for dogs in general, like prong collars and choke chains, etc., etc. Another big downside to the management methods that aversive dog trainers and balanced dog trainers use is that they have significant side effects, emotionally for your dog, physically for your dog, and in a way that affects your dog's own training, obedience, whatever you want to call it. With positive reinforcement, safe management methods, there's no side effects. None of the side effects are coming from the management that we are using. The only side effects in our case are from the situation that the dog may be in that is out of our control, which is why we're using the management in the first place, which means we may have to take maybe 2 steps back, reevaluate the way we're going about introducing certain things to that dog. It's much harder to regain trust and confidence in the dog that's been using aversive methods. Especially if you're changing over from aversive methods to positive reinforcement, you kind of have to start from the beginning because they were never really trained in the first place. They only were taught management tools, how to avoid discomfort. This is another reason why you want to avoid aversive dog trainers at all costs, because they don't have the information to even realize that what they're teaching people and other dogs is not actually dog training. It's all management and it's fear-based, which means that if you are in a triggerous situation with your dog and you're using these methods, they're going to increase the stress levels of your dog, which means it's going to be much harder to get your dog's attention back after that incident. I hear a lot of people who have small dogs and go on walks and feel like they have to pick up their dog to get past certain obstacles like other dogs, otherwise their dog might bark, or maybe their dog still barks as they're picking the dog up. And a lot of aversive old school trainers without higher education will tell you that you can't pick up your dog every single time that another dog comes by. The point is to work up to your dog feeling comfortable enough to be confident around other dogs. However, if picking them up is going to help you get to that point, then you need to be doing what's best for the dog. A lot of people want to really like challenge the dogs and put them through what we call flooding, which is too much stimulation, and you're never going to be able to work with the dog because of the amount of stimulation that they're experiencing in that specific moment. Another example is management is a lot of very simple things. Like if your dog barks at people walking by because they look out the window, make sure that your dog can't see out the window. That's a first step of management in that situation. My favorite example of management, because I work primarily with reactive dogs on walks, is choosing where to walk your dog. If your dog is reactive in your neighborhood, take them to a field with responsible dog owners. You're not always going to find everyone is going to be responsible, but there are a lot of places that have much more space that you can get away from people quickly if you need to. And that allows you much more time to work with your dog, and they're going to be a lot more comfortable because they're further away from their triggers. Now, a lot of balanced and aversive dog trainers will say that you can't always do this, or that you shouldn't always do this, and that's not true. It all depends on the dog. If your dog has severe anxiety, especially around other dogs, you should not be walking them in a city or in like highly populated areas. They need to be in a place that's comfortable for them. A lot of management, I like to think of it as accommodations. If your dog struggles with something, you have to accommodate for those struggles. If you're using aversive methods or balanced methods and you don't think that those accommodations are necessary, you're not going to see a more calm, comfortable, confident dog. Management is used with dogs who are very well trained, and it's used with dogs who have a lot of struggles with certain interactions. There's a huge range of management, and there's many different reasons to use management. However, if you're using fear-based management like aversive methods or balanced dog training, inducing fear in an already fearful animal is going to create more fear. So this is why we never use fear-based management methods, training methods, whatever you want to call them. I don't consider aversive dog training actually training. Really, I find it pretty silly for aversive dog trainers to bash positive reinforcement dog trainers who are using management just in a non-fearful manner, because the only thing that aversive dog trainers know how to do is to use management. Pretty clear. For some reason they can't see that. I really wanted to make this video because I have some people who I'm working with who are using some management here and there, and sometimes they get frustrated with it. So if you're getting discouraged having to continue to use management, it's all part of training. Especially if you have a more fearful dog, it's part of what you're going to have to do while you're working on their training. It's what you're going to have to do in order to make your dog comfortable, to see more progress in the training. From me as a professional and just ethically, and any dog trainer or animal behaviorist with higher education is never going to prescribe a person to use aversive methods or fear-based management in their dog training. If you have a dog, whether they have anxiety or not, there is always going to be some sort of management involved with owning a dog. Some dogs are just going to have more than others, and you can work on them. You can work on all of them. You have so much time and so much flexibility with positive reinforcement that sky's the limit. Unfortunately, with aversive methods, there is a limit. You are only limited to the tools that you're given by the trainer. That's prong collars, choke chains, e-collars, citronella collars. Aversives are anything that causes strong dislike or displeasure in whoever is receiving them. Even though some of them may not hurt your dog is not liking them. I think I'm gonna end every video now saying, please, if you're looking for a dog trainer or an animal behaviorist, please make sure they have higher education. Otherwise, they're not gonna know how dogs think, how dogs work, and how they develop. And that's really important when knowing how to teach a dog. No one wants to be taught the wrong thing.